Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick before we get started, as always, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And if you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, loyalty crown badges, you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember, that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now is truly the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting, everything really does help. So thank you guys so much. And for today's video, after doing a lot of testing, I finally have a good idea of her build, and I want to start talking about it with you guys, especially if you don't know where to start. Right now, we do have a double farming event, so right now is a great opportunity to start farming for Sereniel. We will get to all of that, but for now, before we get started, I want to give a massive shout out to Smilegate for making this a paid promotion video. Without you guys, I wouldn't get these kind of opportunities, so thank you so much. That being said, for transparency's sake, all of my opinions are of my own. They don't get to tell me what I need to say. I say what I want or critique what I want, so let's just get that out the way. But yes, for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down Sereniel, and there is going to be a lot of timestamps for wherever you want to go. I'm going to be breaking down everything specifically, from epiphanies to the gear to everything, so let's get started. Now, first things first, I think let's start talking about the pulling idea for her, because this is our first limited. We don't know when they're going to be bringing them back, because this is our first. And I know some people were upset because this is our first limited. I kind of suspected it was going to be soon, especially during the Christmas season. I kind of expected it. But I'm really happy that Sereniel at E0 specifically is still phenomenal, and is definitely more of like a power creep type unit, but still really good for being just E0. Like E2 and E4 are like something else to talk about later, but just at base E0, she is phenomenal, and I think she is a must-have copy. And I think if you're going to be pulling or saving your currency, especially for limiteds, now's the time to do it. But that's for Sereniel. When we're talking about her partner, I actually feel like it's a different story for her. A lot of people don't really pull for them regardless, just because even if they're a limited or not, you know, it's kind of like the weapon idea. You know, it doesn't matter. And thankfully in this case, there is a pretty good compromise by using Yuri rather than the seasonal partner for Sereniel. And I'm going to be talking about that later. So don't feel pressured to get this unit, rather just focus on getting Sereniel. But if just pulling for stats is not what you want, let's start talking about the like lobby wallpaper power creep. Come on, this is goated. Like, this is fantastic. This is what I want from my Gooner game right here. Not only do I love the gameplay, but the gooning content for the wallpaper is fantastic. All right, let's just say the sweat, the belly, under booba sweat, we got areola. It's looking good, man. Fantastic, and I really love it. What a great way to end out the holidays with pulling for Sereniel. It was great, honestly. The best present I can ask for. Cannot wait to see future power creep wallpapers. I want to see Azure Lane level stuff, because this is already promising. So right here, already off the bat, this is what I'm here for. But still, let's break down Sereniel and let's start talking about her. And let me tell you, kind of a pain in the ass, because I did get her attack, you know, 858, defense, health, and all that. But her critical chance, I finally managed to get that at 60%. Let me tell you how annoying that was to deal with memory fragments. But getting that 60% is so worth it. But for most people who do not care about trying to min-max, you might not care about this. And I'll be talking about that later for the potentials. But getting that 60% was worth sacrificing some better substats over. And critical damage is at 146. But let's start breaking down her cards. Now, some people get a little bit confused because there are some stuff with her potential about, you know, maxing out the basic cards. Really, basic cards for Sereniel really do not matter, because Homing Laser is not a starter card. This is not a basic card. This is a unique card. So you're not going to be taking advantage of the basic for the potential for Homing Laser. You're going to be taking advantage of that with the unique. So just keep that in mind. The basic cards for Sereniel are Magnetic Field and then also Pulse Fire. And I'm going to be honest, most of the time you're going to be removing Magnetic Field. And if you're doing Lab 0, you're getting the mutation sample, so you get the free removal for Pulse Fire. And if you have enough, or if you don't even want to risk it, you either keep one Pulse Fire and just have that, or you don't have any. That's pretty much the way to go for your removal for that. So with that out the way, let's start talking about epiphanies, and let's go back to talking about Homing Laser. The default for homing laser is 138% damage, you get 2 Afterglow, and on Ravage you move from graveyard to hand. Remember, Afterglow adds 1 tenacity damage to the attack cards, plus 50% damage amount if in a Ravage state, and then when this effect is activated, it decreases your amount of Afterglow by 1. So you want to try to keep maintaining this Afterglow so you get those extra boosts. But with the Epiphanies, honestly, there's a lot that we can work with here, which I don't mind. We're going to just start from left to right with Epiphanies. The first Epiphany right here, which is honestly really good. 198% damage increase, and then on Ravage, you move to hand, and Destroy, you add 1 hit. So that's pretty good just because you get an extra hit with your homing laser. This one's a great copy target, but also this one as well because you get 3 Afterglow, and then on Ravage you still move to hand, plus an increase of damage to 198 as well. I think this is great just for maintaining a lot of Afterglow. This is not bad for another copy target. Really, Sereniel for a lot of her cards, honestly, for Sereniel, a lot of her copy targets are really good, and she doesn't really have that many bad Epiphanies, which is great and flexible. So I do kind of give them credit for that. And I'm not counting Divine Epiphanies or anything, obviously. But when we are talking about this Epiphany, I really don't like this Epiphany at all just because it costs 1 AP. Not necessary at all. And even then, like, yes, you get the bonus damage and you create 2 Homing Laser L's in the discard pile. I don't think that's worth it because there are other ways to generate the card better. And I feel like you're losing out on a lot of potential from the other copy targets. So if we're choosing copy targets here, I definitely think the first 2 are definitely good. But I want to say this one right here, this 4th one, is the one I use. And it's kind of underrated. Like, it's become a surprise because even though you only get 1 Afterglow, which sucks, and you maintain normal damage, the fact that on Ravage or at the start of the turn, you move this to your hand. That start of the turn is so helpful. And that makes this my personal favorite, but I can definitely see, you know, arguments for the Afterglow to just maintain that, or even the Destroy at hits. Like I said, you cannot really go wrong. And then the final one, which is okay, you get 198% damage, you maintain the normal Afterglow, then you move all your Homing Laser L's in the graveyard to hand. That one's okay, but it doesn't matter if you don't have any in the graveyard. So I still think 1, 2, and 4 are definitely going to be the way to go, but that's just my take. Let me know how you feel about that. And then Plasma Missile. The default for this card is 144% damage, 0.5 tenacity damage, and if the target was not ravaged, you activate this 1 more time. It's honestly really satisfying when you can also trigger this 1 more time. I just like the spammable nature of Sereniel. It's just really nice. But with Epiphanies, we are going to go in order. So right here with this first one, it's very basic. It increases her damage, but also creates from a 0.5 to 1 tenacity, and then you keep it the same, activates 1 more time. That one's not that bad, but then there's also this one, which is 216% damage, plus 60% damage amount for each decreased tenacity of the target. This one's okay, but we're going to talk about some right now that are just really good. And this one. This one's my favorite card, 144% damage, so you keep the normal damage, but it adds 2 Instinct Weakness, plus 60% damage amount to Homing Laser for 1 turn. So it's not just for like 1 card or anything, that's for 1 turn. You can do a lot with that. So I definitely think this one has the most potential to just spam and just do a lot of damage at once. And you also apply that weakness attack to instinct cards. So I think that's just great, honestly, all around. And then the next one, Plasma Missile, 144% damage, so we just keep it basic. But it creates 3 Homing Laser L's in the draw pile. This one's not bad at all either if this one's a compromise from the 2 Instinct, if you can't get that Epiphany. This one's definitely the way to go. And then this one, I do not care about this one at all. At the end of the turn, 50% damage to a random enemy, plus 30% damage amount for each Homing Laser move to hand for 1 turn. Me personally, I just don't really like it compared to the others that you can get. So there is a bit more kind of pickiness with this one. I do think 1, 3, and 4 are definitely going to be the way to go. 3 if you can, 4 if that's the compromise. 1 is okay, but it's just a basic, you know what I mean? It just increases the stats of everything, but still pretty nice. Now that we got Plasma Missile out of the way, let's start talking about Shining Core. Now, Shining Core, one of my personal favorite cards as well. The basic is you create 2 Homing Laser L's, but when you Epiphany it, there are some interesting things you can do here. The basic first one, instead of just 2, you're going to create 3. So that one's like, alright, it's not like insane or anything. Now this one, you create 2 Homing Laser L's, but you increase the exhaust of those cards by 2. Once again, still kind of basic. This one, in my opinion, is definitely the one to go for. Shining Core, Unique Initiation. You create 2 Homing Laser L's, but on Ravage, you create 2 homing laser Ls. The idea of just on Ravage, you get more of these homing laser Ls. It's just really nice and just handy. So I personally like this card a lot. If you can't get it, you know, there are some other ones as well, but this one I do not care about. This X Shining Core, you create X amount plus 1 homing laser L, and you apply haste to those cards. Haste, remember, that is when if you're attacking the enemy with those homing lasers, the action count of the enemy is not going to be going down, so it kind of just stagnates. And then we also have this last one, which is really good as well, which I think is a great copy target as well if you cannot get the other one, which is select and create 1 homing laser with their own distinct epiphanies. So what this card does is that it creates 1 homing laser. Remember, homing laser is this one right here. So it creates this, and you get to just choose 1 card with this epiphany and use that. That's really flexible depending on the battle, and kind of crazy that we get the option to. So I personally really love this card, so I'm not mad that this is what I'm using for my set specifically, but still I can tell some other people might enjoy the other one more, which is completely fine. And then we have Cobalt Light, which is a default 3 cost card with 144% damage times 4 to random enemies, and adds 1 tenacity damage for each hit, so that's going to be 4, so that's really nice. This card's so fun to use, man. But the epiphanies can be hit or miss with this one. There's this one where 216% damage, so it just adds more damage, keeps everything else the same, but on Ravage, decreases the cost by 1, so this would be a 2 cost. This one's very basic, but at least it kind of decreases the cost, which kind of makes up for it a little bit. Then there's this one, which I personally do not like at all, which it's a retain card, which can be handy, but it's just the same damage stats and everything. But with retain, you add 1 hit until you use this, maximum 5 times. So you could probably get some good bit of spam out of this, but there's a lot of other cards that I feel like have a lot more potential, like this one, where you keep the 144% damage times 4, but you create 1 homing laser L for each target hit. So you can generate pretty much 4. That's really nice for the draw power. Once again, for Sereniel, it's just crazy. But then there's this one, which I think might be the best target to go for, which is 144% damage to random enemies, but it adds 1 hit for each homing laser in your hand. So you can do some crazy things if you have so many cards in your hand. This could be a ×6 or a ×7. Could be really nutty with what you do. So I think this one's really cool, and I wish I got this one. And then this is the one I currently have, which is not bad at all because of the weakness attack. I think that's great. What this does is that it means that no matter what, it's going to apply weakness to the enemy, which is handy for just doing more damage. But the only shame part is that it's just default stats. But on Ravage, this activates 1 more time, so you can get some spam out of this. So it's why I still don't mind this card at all, because you can do some fun things with this card. But overall, when we're looking at what you should go for, definitely think the 1 cost is going to be your priority, and then the 2 cost, and then from there you can kind of choose what you want. I personally think this is probably the better 3, but that's just my take. Remember, everyone has different build ideas with what they want to do. I'm just providing ideas and just kind of like giving you like a way to go. But despite that, we also have Pale Shooting Star left. This one's just a card that does not have epiphanies. This is going to be a 240% damage, and you activate 5 homing laser Ls in the draw pile and the graveyard, so do keep that in mind. And then her ego skill, honestly, it can be really good depending on the situation. It's just expensive. It's a 6 cost, 450% damage to all enemies, move all homing laser Ls from exhaust pile to hand, and apply haste to those cards. This one really depends on how many are in the exhaust pile, but also I think my damage is different because of my ego manifestation. We'll talk about that later, but just keep this in mind. I do think this is a good one, just depends on the circumstances. But other than this, I managed to get some card motion restoration, and I'm really happy with it. I keep getting lucky, and I got it on all the girls too, so it's perfect. I got 3, which is the exact amount that I wanted. So hopefully now I'm going to just start saving up for anyone that interests me a lot more. So that's pretty cool. But now let's start talking about partners. Partners, with her partner that's actually meant for her, it's okay, but you can really get away with using Yuri, and let's start talking about why. Because with her, you increase the assigned commands attack by 8%. When the assigned commands card moves from the graveyard to hand, you gain 1 Repair Complete. Repair Complete adds 10% damage amount to the assigned commands attack cards with a maximum of 3 stacks, so it could be up to 30%. And then you increase the damage amount of the assigned commands attack cards that are used against Ravage targets by 15%. And her ego skill of 3 When an ally inflicts Ravage, 1 overclock to the assigned combatant. Overclock gives Sereniel plus 25% crit chance for 1 turn. That's pretty good, especially if you already have a high crit chance. That's phenomenal, but also kind of difficult to do at times because you have to hope that your ally can Ravage it, or you have to like do your cards in a certain way that ally's card will be the one that triggers the Ravage rather than Sereniel. You have to keep that in mind, especially before you activate her ego. So keep that in mind, but if you don't have her, perfectly fine because you can just use Yuri. Yuri's a lot more basic, but still really suitable for Sereniel because the assigned combatant's attack is increased by 8%. Upon the first shuffle, the assigned combatant's damage dealt is increased by 8%, so you still get something for Sereniel, and then with her ego, you draw 2. That's still fantastic for Sereniel. You get more drawing power, so you can't really go wrong if you don't have her, so don't feel like you need a pull for her. There are substitutions for the free-to-plays or low spenders. That's perfectly fine. So I think that's great. And then my save data, personally, this is what I'm rocking with. Like I mentioned, I played it safe, and I only have 30 faint memory, so I really could have done a lot more, but still, I could have gotten rid of this and be okay. I'd be more happy with this. But yes, I copied this homing laser, which is the one where you only get 1 afterglow, and on Ravage or at the start of the turn, you move it to hand. And then I also copied my plasma missile, which is the one with instinct damage. This one I'm really happy that I got. I really like this card. I managed to get the Shining Core with homing laser with their own distinct epiphanies. And then I got the weakness attack Cobalt Light. Copy targets, once again, really flexible. If you want, you could copy Shining Core, you could copy Plasma Missile, Homing Laser, you could spam only Homing Laser. Really up to you and what you're trying to go for with your Sereniel. Now, potentials, I got a little bit of a rant, and I think farming potentials suck. You need so much to max her out, it's frustrating. Thankfully, though, right now we do have a farming event, so let me just quickly pivot real quick because I want to talk about this. Because if we actually go to the event tab and we go look at what's going on, right now we do have this overdrive simulation, and this also counts for potential, where you get ×2 rewards. So if you are farming for anything, it's going to be potential in my opinion, because it costs so much rocks for anyone. But specifically for Sereniel, I do think it's worth it because she is a needy gal and it's worth maxing her out. But what should you be focusing on? First things first, basic cards. You really do not need to do this. You don't have to worry about this one. If you're going to prioritize any of them, you are going to be prioritizing the unique cards. Remember, the homing laser is not a basic card. It's a unique card. Really go for the critical chance proficiency. You want to increase this crit chance. Keep getting this critical damage as well. And the reason why I tried to go all the way to 60% with my memory fragments was because of this. If Sereniel's critical chance is greater than 30%, you add plus 10% damage amount to homing laser. But if your critical chance is greater than 60%, you add an additional plus 5% to the modifier, which is really good for her. And then this one I just went with, but it doesn't matter at all. Really, you don't need to focus on any of these basic card proficiencies if you don't want to, because once again, homing laser doesn't count for that. So focus on unique card L and then getting these crit ones up right here. Now, the reason why I had to go all the way to 60 and it was a pain in the ass was because of that potential. So I can proc it because I'm at 60.8%. So frustrating, honestly. And now let's start talking about memory fragments for that very reason. So I sacrificed like plus attack, substats, instinct, and all that for critical chance. So if that's what you're going for, do it, but keep in mind it can be very expensive and it's all RNG at the end of the day. But let's just talk about basic sets right now. First, always go with the Judgment Flame. This set is practically made for her. This +4 set is plus 50% damage amount to instinct cards used against Ravage targets. This is literally just Sereniel. This is perfect for her. So getting this set and also trying to prioritize finding stats that include crit chance is definitely the way to go. Obviously, you probably want to get attack and everything for her, but still, if you are farming for just crit chance, you'd sacrifice that like I did, unfortunately. And then Blackwing set, you could use the Executioner's Tool or Blackwing, depending on what gives you more actual critical chance. That's what happened here, plus 27% here. And then with my Blackwing, I got plus 4.9%. So all RNG at the end of the day, but definitely getting that 60% has done a lot more for me. And then Manifest Ego, I'm just going to say it first. You don't really need to get dupes for her. She is perfectly fine at E0, she is so strong as is. E1, you know, you get a plus 50% damage amount to Pale Shooting Star, and it changes it from the normal amount of homing laser cards to 5 now, which actually a pretty nice little boost for just E1. E2 though, if you're not, you know, you want a little bit more, at the start of the battle, you create 2 homing laser Ls, and then at the start of the turn, if homing laser is one of the cards drawn, you draw 1. Once again, more drawing power for her. Really fantastic. And then her E3, it's okay, because it adds plus 50% damage amount to Death Halo, which is her ego, and then applies haste to each homing laser L that is moved to Death Halo. So more of like a quality of life just for her burst, which doesn't really matter. But her E4 is really good because for each homing laser that is moved to hand on Ravage, Sereniel gains a firepower amp effect. And this is a plus 10% damage amount to Sereniel's attack cards for 1 turn, maximum of 5 stacks or plus 50% damage. That's really, really nice. So if you're going all in whale-wise, E4 is definitely going to be like where you want to go. If you're like a dolphin or you really want to go for it, E2 is definitely a comfortable spot. But for even low income or anybody in general who really doesn't care, you're totally fine at E0. Please do not think that you need to get the dupes to make her work, because even at E0, seeing a lot of great results. So please watch other people's builds, go look at E0 battles. They do some good cooking with her. So don't feel like you need to do anything. But equipment wise, really quick, I do want to mention, because with my save data, I do have equipment here. I have Foggy Crystal Ball, and to me, this is definitely going to be the best weapon to go for. And that's why I'm so focused on 0 cost, because it increases the damage amount of attack cards with a cost of 0 by 40%. So Ori, a big boost for homing laser for her. Now, my equipment sucks. If you could get the mythic where it discards 3 weapons, that's definitely going to be the way to go. But remember, you can only have 1. But if not, you can use the Rocket Ordained Cape as well. And then I'm using the Amorphous Cube, which is plus 25% damage amount. Now, where did I end up farming? I ended up farming in the Lab 0. I always just farm there just because right now it's just convenient and it's seasonal content, so you might as well take advantage of it. But still, I am using that in Exploration 0 right now. Equipment, Mythic, obviously I am using the Mythic weapon right here where I get the 0 cost plus by 40%. But let's say that you already have a Mythic and it's not this one. You have the chest piece. But that's perfectly fine, because the next best bet weapon-wise you're going to be using is the Mutant Predator Spike. And that's when there are 4 or more cards in hand, you increase the damage amount of the cards by 30%. That's still really good, and because of Sereniel's drawing power with those homing lasers, you're going to be able to trigger this very easily. So this is definitely going to be your next best bet. And in terms of chest pieces, let's say like me, if you got the Gluttonous Cape, that one's not worth it at all. If you can get Wings of Freedom, because when hit, increases your damage amount 10%, can stack up to 3 times, that's really good. If not, Rocket Ordained Cape, because at least you get to draw 1. So try to go for that. So I don't have the best equipment, but still, that's why I'm letting you guys know. So do keep all of that in mind. But with that being said, I do believe that is going to be it for me. Once again, with this lovely wallpaper, even if you're going at E0, that is going to be it for me. So I hope you guys have a lovely day, a lovely night, wherever you're from. And once again, thank you guys so much for the constant support. And thank you again for Smilegate for making this a sponsored video. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Take care.